Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel again. I'm really sorry the new video has been coming out after a long time, and I could give innumerable excuses of my schedule or my laziness or whatever, but it is here now, so as to say. And today I would like to talk about something which is very common in our lives, something which is very present in our lives, and still somehow we are not able to observe it. Still somehow it's hidden, still somehow it's behind the curtain. And that aspect of our life is the essence of division. That how most of our lives are, or most part of our life is governed or controlled by division, and still we kind of don't observe it. Still we kind of are not able to see that it is so, that it is how it is. So today I would like just shed some light on it, and maybe we can begin with just basic definitions that we see that division is to be divided. Now, in previous videos, I have talked about it, that division is very natural for us, that we can see the countries are divided. Inside the countries, the states are divided. Inside the states, the cities are divided. And even inside the city, the localities or the municipalities are divided. And it depends on the challenge, truly speaking, that people of a country might say we are together, but when they're challenged on the base of the state, they stand divided and they're ready to hurt each other, or they're ready to go against each other. And the same could be done for cities, that people of a state might say we are united because we are from the same state, but when you see it, when you challenge them on the basis of their individual cities, then they start to take side of their specific city and are ready to go against the city of the same state, because that's how they feel, or that's how we feel actually. So the whole point of division is the creation of 2 points, that we in our lives love to make 2 points, whether it's by creating a border to create 2 countries, and or it's by creating some border in our relationships, that between 2 brothers, to father and son, or father and daughter, or whatever the relationship be. And this process of division has become so natural that it happens, and still we can't observe it. So if you would look at it in a non-prejudice way, in a way that you are not biased towards anything, in a neutral way, so as to say, if you would look at it, then you would see that essentially it involves creation of 2 points, division. And what division actually does, which we kind of neglect, or we kind of oversee, is that it creates the possibility for conflict. You see, conflict can only happen when there are 2 points, or when there are 2 entities. If there is only one entity, for example, if I lock you in a room and it's just you, then there is no one to fight with. It's just you. You can fight with the walls or with a chair in the room, but you cannot fight with another person because this another person doesn't exist. So in the same way, what division does is it creates 2 points. Whether it's a religious division, whether it's a nationalistic division, whether it's a division in family, between friends, whatever kind of division, it creates 2 points. It creates a duality, so as to say. And now there is a possibility of conflict between these 2 points. I'm not saying that conflict is inevitable. Sometimes you would say, yes, we are 2 different points, but we are harmoniously interacting with each other. So, which could happen, but there is always a possibility that maybe the situation might change, maybe the condition might change, and now you could actually have a problem or have a conflict with this. Like 2 countries might be helping each other, maybe really nice friends with each other, two separate countries, but maybe in a time of crisis, in a time of food crisis, energy crisis, or some other kind of crisis, these 2 countries might take decisions which are not so friendly or so profitable for the other. And they might say it's just because we are thinking for ourselves first, and then we are thinking about you or someone else. So this again creates a conflict, a situation of conflict. And conflict then eventually could result to physical violence, or it could be just a vocal conflict, any kind of the expression could be anything, but the essence is that wherever there is division, there is a possibility of conflict. It's just like law, just like gravity. Like when there are 2 points, there is possibility of their interaction. And when the interaction happens, the interaction could be constructive or destructive. Now, we don't know how it would be. It depends on the conditions, on the environment, that how the interaction happens. But there is always a possibility that the interaction might result in a conflict. So, in that sense, division is very dangerous. That we don't this aspect of division we don't see. We always approach division as a method of self-protection. We think that the moment I divide myself from the other, then I'm protecting myself. I'm saying this is me and this is not me, so I will only protect this much. I will take care of only this much. This is my family. This is not my family. This is my country. This is not my country, and I will only protect till this much. And after this point, it's not my concern. So generally we think it's a self-protective mechanism, that we are kind of doing it to make sure that we are protected, or our interests are protected. But it also, in a hidden way or in a non-visible way, creates this possibility of conflict, creates this possibility of a destructive interaction or interference, if we speak in scientific terms. So it's always important in life to see all the aspects of a process or of an action. When you see only partial aspect of an action, then the aspect that you didn't observe or you didn't see, it doesn't mean that will not affect you. You understand? It's just like the story of the bird who puts his head in the ground, and his whole body is outside, and I think it's kind of like a swan, and he puts his head in the sand, and because he can't see anyone, he thinks no one can see him, and that's why he's protected. So just because we don't see the complete consequences of an action, or the complete consequences of a decision, doesn't mean that all those consequences are not going to affect us. They will still affect us. It's just that when the effect will come, then we will say, I didn't see this coming, and actually this is also like this. So it's kind of intelligent. It's kind of actually this is more self-protective, to observe something completely, because when you do it, then you protect yourself from all possible outcomes from that action or from that decision. So, when we usually do division, we are kind of employing it or executing it as a self-protective mechanism. That, okay, this is my religion, this is not my religion, so I will only protect the guys from my religion. But we don't see that the moment I say this is my religion, I'm also saying the other is not mine. You understand? And someone else might be saying that the other is his or hers. And then now, this has created division between me and this other person. And when there is division, always remember there's a possibility of conflict. So, in that sense, the division has kind of become normal in us because it is considered as a self-protective mechanism. We think that when we are all standing together as one country people, I'm protected because I'm with my people who are of the same country, but these same people could also become the reason of your insecurity, because when the situations turn around, maybe people in the same country fight against each other. Not maybe, it happens all the time that people fight among themselves. So you think there is a security in a group, but the group could also have its internal conflicts, which you didn't think about the moment you were joining the group. So, in the same sense, we can see it that division initially gives this mirage of protection. It gives this like a magical cloak of Harry Potter, that it feels like you're invisible, you're protected. But actually, it also has the other side, that always remember, the moment you create division anywhere in your life, you're also creating the possibility of conflict, which will eventually affect you in some ways. Now, this we talked about the division in that we see in the outside world, like division of borders, division of states, division of cities, division of religions, or division of nations, division of caste, or division of tribes. Anyway, you can see it. And I feel this is the reason it became so natural to us, is because we took it as a self-protective mechanism. And as a species, when you try to protect yourself, which is kind of natural in all species, we see that they try to protect themselves. We kind of neglected it, the negative side of division. We only saw it that, okay, maybe the animals are also doing it, so it's natural to do it, and so we should also do it. Now, this is also one funny thing I feel against this argument, that on one side we say we are evolved beings than animals, and on the other side we also accept that we should behave the same way as animals, that if something is observed in animals and we are also doing it, then it's fine. Then why do we even talk about this evolution? Because the evolution means that now our action is more intelligent than the action of an animal. Now, we do show it in the scientific field or in the technological field that our action has become more and more intelligent than an animal. But in the general life, we still follow the same animalistic instincts of hurting each other, or how an animal behaves, and we accept it. We say, okay, we are also coming from animals. So this is kind of a hypocritical thing of expressing or justifying our action. So when we see this division in society, or in our in the whole world, if you observe it closely, then you would see that the essence of this division outside is actually coming as a source from inside the person. That the actual beginning of division starts inside of you. And we can take some very basic examples of you being divided yourself. That, for example, you smoke, and then you like to smoke, and suddenly someone tells you, hey, it's not good for you. And you see some research, you read something, you read some news, your friend tells you, whatever. And now, every time you're smoking, there is also another voice inside of you which is saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should quit, or something else. So we kind of face the consequence of this division every day in our life. When a diabetic person feels like eating sugar when he shouldn't, and he's like, yeah, I want to eat sugar, but I shouldn't. So there is one side of him who wants to do it, and there is another side of him who doesn't want to do it. And then these sides start to fight with each other. And I think every person has gone through this in his or her life, that there are these dividing opinions or dividing conclusions about a same fact, whether it could be smoking, it could be sugar, it could be anything in our life. So, and if you would see that this dividing or divided mind creates so much stress in our life. It is one of the reasons of many mental diseases in humans, that a lot of depression, a lot of stress is coming because a person has this kind of dividing attitude. Maybe a person knows that he's not nice in some sense, but society has told that you should be nice in that sense. And now every time this person is doing something wrong, he feels guilty, and there's a side of him who is saying, why are you doing it? But he also can't stop doing it, which happens a lot, for example, in the case of masturbation. If you would see that kids love the experience of it, and the experience says that do it again and again because it feels nice. But then maybe your doctor suggests that it's not nice, it's not healthy for you, and some other person or your church or your religion or something else suggests that you shouldn't do it, it's not nice to do it. And then the person gets divided, that should I do it, should I not do it? The drive from inside becomes so strong to do it, because as you're biologically growing, it's a very strong essence inside of you. And then you also have this loads of information given by the society that you shouldn't do it, or it's not moral, it's not this, it's in that. And then the person gets torn apart in this kind of situation, and which creates a lot of stress on the mind. And not just the mind, I think it also leads to somewhat a damage to the brain, to the neurons, because the longer you live in a conflict, the longer it affects your biology as well, not just your psychology and your mind. It does affect the sensitivity of the mind for sure, because it wastes a lot of energy, because one side of you wants to go this way, the other side wants to go this way. It's pulling you apart, and we might not observe it, but it's a very energy consuming process. And it can lead to a huge amount of tiredness, and which is why people who are kind of stressed because of this duality in them, you see them lacking energy, and you see them lacking vitality in their life when they're walking, talking, or doing something. So over all this thing, it at the end creates a big amount of dissatisfaction, or it creates sorrow in life. And that is one of the major aspects of of not being like a flower, in life. Like, then the person thinks, why my life is like this, why it's going like this, why I have this sadness, why I have this sorrow. And when you are not able to answer that question, or when you're not able to get the help, or even if you get the help doesn't actually help, and you feel stuck, then you try to find some different kind of answers, like going to some saint, or going to religion, finding God, that maybe God will fix my problem, or some higher entity, some energy, some soul, some this, some that will fix my problem. Now, it's very interesting to see this, that usually most people turn towards this higher power, or the soul, or whatever, or even to meditation, only in the event of crisis. Like, there are very few people who actually think about doing all this when they are super happy. Because when you're happy, you're totally satisfied. You don't need any superpower to help you or anything, because you feel like everything is under control. You are doing all this. So observe this in your life, that how many times in a day you create this kind of situation of division in yourself, that you want to do something, that first the desire initiates or wants to initiate an action. It could be an action of eating sugar. It could be an action of eating carbs. It could be going against your diet. It could be any action. So first, the desire initiates the action, or tries to initiate the action. And then another voice comes which wants to control it, which wants to say, no, but maybe this action is not nice. For example, I'm on a diet, I'm trying to get the six-pack, and suddenly I see something high carbs, high sugar, something, and I want to eat it. And the desire comes because it's from my childhood or something like this, and I want to do it. So there is an urge of energy which wants to make you do it. And then the second voice comes which says, hey, I'm sorry, it's not like this, and we shouldn't do it because we are actually on a diet. We have to control our calories, we have to do this, we have to do that. And then there is this conflicting nature happening between this controlling voice and your initial desire of whatever you wanted to do. Now, as long as you have these opposites fighting among each other, you are wasting a lot of energy. Now, this will lead to being tired. This would lead to being a little sadness, a little depressed, and a lot of stress. So all these factors eventually come into your life. Now, usually people think all this is happening because of some outside agency. I'm depressed because my boss gave me a lot of work, because my boss doesn't listen to me. So I'm stressed. Because my office doesn't care about me, I'm stressed. You understand? Now, all these factors might be true, might not be true, we don't know. But one thing we know for sure is that you are creating, or you are also contributing to that stress yourself by putting these two conflicting opinions about in your mind. So what could be done? As a simple exercise, you might start not creating this controlling voice. You see the initial desire to eat some candy, and you're on a diet. You see the initial desire that, okay, I want to eat this candy. I really feel like eating this candy. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you should eat the candy or not eat the candy. All I'm saying is, instead of bringing the second voice who says, hey, you shouldn't eat the candy because you're on the diet, right? Can you just watch your desire which is coming initially? Don't do anything about it, right? Be disinterested in it, so as to say. Instead of doing something about your desire, instead of trying to control it, shape it according to your profit or your fear or according to your desire, don't do anything about it. Just remember that the moment you do something about it, you bring in the second voice, or you give birth to this dualistic nature. The moment the second voice will come, it will start fighting with the first voice, or it will start fighting with the first desire. Are you getting me? You get the desire to be sexually aroused. Now, instead of saying, I shouldn't do that, the church told me not to do that, my temple told me not to do that, or my family told me not to do that, and this is bad, I will lose energy. Instead of doing all that, can you just watch that initial desire as it's coming? When the desire is coming, and if you just watch it. Now, what happens is, when you don't create the second opposing factor, then the energy which was wasted between this conflict, between should I do it or should I not do it, there's a huge amount of energy wasted in this conflict. And even at the end of this, you still don't have an answer, because one part of you is saying you should do it, another part is saying you should not do it. So eventually, one part wins the battle, and then you end up doing it or not doing it. But it's at the cost of loss of a lot of energy, and a lot of like feeling dull. But instead, if you just observe it, the first factor, the initial desire, as it flowers in you, as you feel like, I'm feeling sexually aroused, or I'm feeling sexually excited, I feel like eating sugar, I feel like doing anything which I should buy a car, I should buy a house, anything, any desire which rises inside of you, if you just merely look at it, just look at it instead of doing something about it, then you would see that all the energy that you were wasting initially in conflict is now not wasted. And now all that energy is available to look at this desire, to observe this desire, And when you will observe this initial desire without doing anything about it, you would see it will rise, it will show its colors, and it will quietly go down. It's like you have to do nothing about it. And on the contrary, if you would have done something about it, then the desire would have lasted longer than it should be. Because as long as you create this second voice which says, I shouldn't be sexually aroused at this moment because it's wrong and this and this. So as long as you're trying to solve this conflict, you're also giving life to the initial desire which was coming at the first place. So the desire comes out, you start fighting with it. Now, as long as you're fighting with it, this desire is not finished. It's still inside your mind. It's still existing. But if instead of fighting with it, you just watch it, just don't do anything about it. Be disinterested in it. The right word is disinterested. Don't be interested in it. Just watch it. And as you watch it, you would see it would rise, show its colors, and go down. And it would happen quite fast, actually. It wouldn't be in your mind for a long time. And you would see that it comes and it goes, and now you don't have to deal with it because it's already gone. But the moment you start dealing with it, with your opposing opinion, you give more life to this initial desire. And this giving more life is taking your energy, and on top of it, you are fighting with it. This conflict is taking your energy. So it's a very unintelligent thing to do. It's a very unintelligent process to execute. And then eventually when life becomes dull and everything, we start the blaming part, that it's dull because of this person, because of that person, because of this and because of that. So I'm not saying that the external factors could not be against you. Maybe someone really wants to hurt you and maybe someone doesn't. We don't know. But at least we should be intelligent enough not to contribute ourselves to this. At least we should be intelligent enough that I will not be the reason of my own sadness. I will not be the reason of my own stress and my own depression. So at least you can bring yourself out of the equation. And when you do that, you would see that you would have a tremendous amount of energy available to you during the whole day. Whatever comes, whatever desire comes, don't choke it, don't suppress it. Because every time you try to do something with it, you are trying to create these 2 points. And as you create the 2 points, the possibility of conflict arises. It could also be pleasurable, it could also be painful. But always remember that creating the 2 points, the moment you try to do something about your desire, you have to pay the price in terms of loss of energy. You have to pay the price in terms of stress. You have to pay price in terms of feeling depressed or something. So watch it. I'm not saying you would be able to do it straight away. The factor that would be toughest would be to be disinterested in your desire, because we are so interested in our desires because it's our desire. How can I not be interested in my desire? But as you observe it multiple times in your day, that every time you were interested in your desire and you tried to control it and shape it according to yourself, you would see that you are losing energy. You are trying to do something which is unintelligent. And as you observe it 5-10 times, naturally you would naturally it would become like you protect yourself from fire. You don't put your hand in the fire intentionally. You just protect yourself. So in the same way, when you see that creation of duality in my mind is a destructive process, it destroys the sensitivity of the mind, it destroys my observation, it destroys my perception, it destroys my listening. It's a very destructive process for the mind. And on top of it, it also destroys the freshness of the brain. That as you grow old with this conflict in your head every day, your brain cells will grow like they will die at a much faster age, which is why you see so many old people have loss of sensitivity at old age quite easily. Some people have this loss of memory quite easily. So at least can we stop contributing to it ourselves? At least can we stop being the reason of our own soup, or our own sadness, our own sorrow? So always keep this in mind. Wherever there is division, there is a possibility of conflict. Now, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to memorize what I've said. Just watch it. Every day you live, just watch it. Watch as you create this division in your mind. Watch as you create these opposite factors. I want to do it, I don't want to do it, I want to do it, I don't. And see how your energy is wasted in this every time you do it. Then try to do it the way I just suggested. When the first factor comes in, the initial desire comes in, instead of doing something about it, just watch it. Just watch it. Let it grow, let it flower, and let it fall down. It will happen quite fast if you would do it nicely. If you would just be disinterested and watch it, as you would watch a flower, or as you would watch a bird which is flying by, and you're just watching it. You're not trying to say why this bird has blue legs or blue wings or whatever. Nothing. You're just watching it, and it goes. So in the same way, the initial desire will flower, and it will go down. So try this. Don't just take my word for it, And as you will try it, you would taste it. And as you would taste it, it would become your natural. It will become your nature, because it's the intelligent thing to do. And no one wants to hurt themselves intentionally. At the moment, we do it because we don't see the whole consequence of it. We only see the part that when I try to control my desire, my end result is according to my profit. I'm trying to eat sugar. I shouldn't eat sugar. I'm trying to control this desire, and in the end result, I'm not eating sugar, which is profitable for me. But you don't see that you also lost a lot of energy controlling it. So look at it. Just look at it. Don't fight with the desire. Don't fight with the initial thing that you want to do, and observe it disinterestedly. And you would see something beautiful happening. You would see the observation itself fades it away, whether it's any kind of desire you have. So with this, I would finish the episode for today. And if you have any questions, please write in the comments, and I would love to hear them. And maybe we would also have some guests in the next episode. I'm planning to have some more people on the show, some common people with their normal problems, and we discuss them from this point of view. Because at the end, it's all about duality or non-duality. Whether you live your life from a dualistic point of view, or you live your life from a non-dualistic point of view. And that makes all the difference. As P.B. Shelley says Robert Frost said in his beautiful poem, The Road Not Taken, that as I took the road less traveled, it had made all the difference. And when you would see this, that the moment you don't try to control, the moment you just try to merely observe, then it would make all the difference. So, again, thank you very much, and apologies again for the episode to be late, for not posting for so long, and I hope everyone is doing nice, and thank you very much.